Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Sunday to you. Here we are going into week 3. I wanted to post my video early this week because we do have SketchUp coming up. And for those of you that don't feel 100% comfortable with technology right now, or those of you that are not familiar with the program, please make sure that you've reviewed the SketchUp tutorials and that you're ready to participate. And I also wanted to make sure that you worked on it, looked at it early in the week, um, going through to the weekend. This is not something that I want you to sit down Saturday morning and try to do, because what's going to happen is it could possibly cause a lot of frustration because you're learning this, some of you, for the first time. One of the things that I want to remind you about this class is this is emerging technology, which means we're putting technology in front of you. Maybe technology you've used before but haven't gone more in depth with, or maybe technology that you were not aware of, and asking you to learn how to navigate it. And I'm always here for you, so remember to email me if you start to feel like you're struggling. However, I also want you to take some time to work through the frustration of something. That's part of having an aha moment. And we expect it from our own students for them to try to work through, or, uh, you know, uh, Google answers, do tutorials, those types of things, and then come to us as needed. So I want you to have that aha moment, that breakthrough moment. When I first started coding, and making websites for bands and those types of things, I was frustrated all of the time because it was new and it was humbling. And as educators with brains, it is very humbling to stumble through things. And one of the things that's great about the master's program is it gives you the opportunity to be reminded that your students feel this way every day. Every day. We know the content so well that we breeze through it in our classrooms, and we forget that they are stumbling their way through and that they feel frustrated and confused. And when you get into the master's program, it happens to you, and it's definitely a reminder. So remember that this class is about trying new things. It's about learning new technologies. It's about reading about new technologies, and hopefully, sparking something in you that moves you towards innovating with technology in your classroom, or bringing it back and sharing it with people at school that might not know, about this technology. So please remember that when you're working with SketchUp. Also, on your SketchUp, I want to do this reminder before you even get started on it. Scale and dimension are two different things. So I've asked you to do a very small dimension on your SketchUp, which means that you could create something like a chess piece, or a key, or a postage stamp, or a guitar pick with some type of individualized design. But you could also create a house, a back porch you might want to build, a car, because it's the dimensions and the scale are two different things. And a lot of times when people start working with SketchUp, you kind of have to change your mindset. So the best way, I think, to explain it is if you had a Word document. So say you had a Word document and you used 12-point font on your Word document for your writing. Well, if you went to your computer and put it at 400%, you're going to have a giant word on your screen, but it's still 12-point font. So remember that same thought when you're working through SketchUp. Last year I had some really beautiful and unusual SketchUps come in, absolutely stunning. So I'm looking forward to see what you're creating, and I'm I don't want you to get, tied up in, worrying about what you're creating. Go ahead and just be open with it and do what you think will be fun for you. My students really love to do this. Professor Slater, if you've had him, his son, I think, is in 5th grade now. He loves to do SketchUp. And I think you guys will get a kick out of learning it. But remember, there may be some frustration, and that's where the tutorial and the directions come in. And I want you to try to work through it before you contact me so that you can have the pleasure of having that aha moment and that joy when you accomplish something. So, and then remember, if you do need me, just email me. If you're worried I'm not going to see the email, shoot me a text message that says, "Hey, Professor Wood, I emailed you," and I'll get to a computer right away and respond to you as quickly as possible. Um, I've updated all grades as of this morning. Everybody that's turned anything in so far, and already given you your notes. And for those of you that haven't finished your assignments this week, remember they're due on or before 11:59 p.m. this evening. This week you're looking at augmented reality, which I think you'll find interesting. I'm actually going to put up a new article and a new YouTube video, just a short, brief history of it from that was an NBC clip, just up on the announcements for you to look at in your leisure time. It's not required reading. It's just something that I thought that you would find interesting and is updated and would give you an idea, especially related to augmented reality and virtual reality and the difference. So basically, in a nutshell, when you're looking at virtual reality, you're looking at immersive experiences. Augmented reality is kind of like the filters on Snapchat. And today we now have, books, reading books and mathematical books for children where they can have like this 3D image pop up, this augmented reality that can help them solve problems by looking at it, by the reflective light. It's really, really cool. Or they might have like a little animal reader on their iPad, augmented reality pop up and help them read through a book. So there's lots of cool ways that it's being used in education, and I think you will get a kick out of studying it. The last thing that I want to talk about today is social media. And we know social media is a double-edged sword. There are things that are really wonderful about it, and there are things that are really horrible. We have to monitor our children. We need to make sure that online bullying isn't happening. We need to make sure that predators aren't able to, get to our kids through social media. We also have to worry about if we have children that are foster children in our classroom. They can't be tagged in any way that somebody could find them that's not supposed to find them at that time. So there's a lot of things that you have to think about with social media. Having said that, there's a lot of cool things to do with social media. People have private YouTube channels for their students so that they're doing flipped classroom lessons. People have class pages and social media. They have discussion threads, just like we do here at Concordia, so that students can contact each other. Sometimes they do hashtag projects. My students in 11th grade do a Walt Whitman hashtag project where they've learned that Walt Whitman was the cataloger of his time period, that he was considered a poet that created snapshots of time and gave us this visual through his words. So I like to use Instagram with them, and part of their project is that they take a picture of something that reminds them of a line of Whitman's poetry. They post the line that the picture represents, and then they hashtag it to Walt Whitman. And what's really cool about that is we then catalog again. We have this continuous thread from year to year to year, and alumni can join in and parents can join in, and it's really neat. But when you're looking at these projects, you have to consider age. You have to consider what you want to get out of using this type of technology, and you have to consider, protection and safety with your students. And as I've said before, just in the short time that I have been with you, you want to use technology to work smarter, not harder. And once again, technology is thrown at us constantly right now. And, if you're comfortable with it, it's one thing. But if you're learning it, as I said, related to Sketchup, you can become very frustrated, overwhelmed. Your curriculum and your lessons can become frenetic and fragmented. And that's not how you want it to work. You don't want it to be something else that you have to do that stresses you out. You want to pick and choose your technology to enhance what you're already doing. And especially in the state of California, you want to keep career technical education standards in mind. What technology am I doing related to what my students are learning in CTE? So these are all things that you want to consider this week and work on this week and read about this week. And so remember with SketchUp, go ahead and get started on it. And if you didn't look at those tutorials and this is something new to you, then please look at the tutorials. Work on it a little bit throughout the week, or at least study it throughout the week, and so that you don't feel overwhelmed sitting down for the first time looking at it on Saturday, because that can happen. Sometimes it can be something so simple that can throw you off. I was working with somebody last night with the Excel spreadsheet you just did, and they didn't realize that their macro wasn't working, and they didn't realize that their Excel, the default setting, had disabled the macro and that they had to enable it. So it can be something, when things like that happen, it's usually something very, very small. And you're looking through everything and you can't figure it out. And then when you find it, you're just like, so, take your time, relax into it. And then remember that if you need me, contact me immediately through email and I will help you. But try to work through it, try to get past that frustration level, try to have that aha moment, because it's such a great moment to have. And I wish you all well. Happy Sunday from my Game of Thrones people. We got quite the night ahead of us. And for everybody else, have a wonderful work week. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.